My name is Daisy Jones Brown, and I am a federal worker for the Department of Justice, and I manage federal grants. I was born in Edgefield, South Carolina, and I grew up in South Carolina. And so I came from very meager means. So I was born in poverty. And so I was born in a home that didn't have a bathroom or running water, and for the first 6 years of my life. And then tragedy happened. My brother, who was 17 years old, he drowned, and it was very tragic for our family. And because it was something my mother really struggled with, that is when we moved, and we were able to move to a home in another part of South Carolina that actually had a bathroom and running water. And so that was sort of my introduction to that, but it still was, it was a challenge, because I know they say in the state of Georgia, it's the peach state, but I debate that, because South Carolina, where I was born, that is what we did. We started probably at 10 years old, picking peaches. And that's when I knew that is not what I wanted to do. And so I had a good home, but challenging as far as financially growing up, but a lot of love. I have 7 brothers and sisters. I am the baby of the bunch. And I grew up and I graduated from Strom Thurmond High School. If any of you know Senator Strom Thurmond and his background, you can imagine what that was like. And that at 18 years old, I enlisted into the Air Force, and that is where my journey really began as an adult. I enlisted in the Air Force at 18, and being in the Air Force really was the first time that I really understood what it was like to leave a small town and really dream about something bigger. My sister was in the Army, and she really said, you know, you don't want to do that. Don't do Army, do Air Force if you can. And so I enlisted in the Air Force, and my first assignment was actually Sicily, Italy. And I went there, and it was such an amazing experience to experience another country. I had never left the United States in my life. It was probably also my first time on an airplane. And I was doing all of this at 18 years old. And I just remember like how different it was to be around lots of different people who were from all over the world, being in the Air Force. And I was never really, I never really was told by a counselor or anyone like, hey, you have an option. You can go to college or you can do something like that. And so I realized that I had what we call a GI Bill in the Air Force. And it was the first time I took a course. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I'm actually decent at this. I could probably, get a degree. I never even thought about it because we didn't have the money for me to do anything like that. And so I stayed with that journey in the Air Force for 8 years on active duty. And then I transitioned into the reserves and ended up retiring from the Air Force Reserve at 20 years. And it was something neat that happened to me when I was on active duty that didn't happen to a lot of people, so it was really neat. So I got the opportunity from my commander to do what we call the bootstrap. And bootstrap is where if they think you are officer material, you can go to school full time. And so full time and get your degree and come back in as an officer. And so I was able to take that program, and I actually did 1.5 years of just going to school full time. And then I was going to come back in as an officer. Come to find out, the counselor that I had, I got a degree in psychology, and I actually needed it in social work because that's who had the contract with the Air Force. And so I wasn't able to get licensed to come back in the Air Force. So I decided to go work for the Air Force as a licensed professional counselor. So that started my journey within the federal government, working for the Air Force. And I worked for the Air Force for another 22 years. And I did a lot of things there. I was a guidance counselor for a very long time. And I became that guidance counselor because I was the guidance counselor who always said, because I got bad advice and I was not able to pursue what I really wanted to pursue, I would never give someone else bad advice. And so I was that, and I got promoted to other things. I did a lot of work with sexual assault. And that stemmed from my childhood. I had an incident of molestation as a child as well. And so I did a lot of work with suicide prevention, a lot of work with peak performance with airmen and resiliency. So I did 22 and a half years with them. And then COVID happened. And COVID really opened up a lot for me because it was the first time that I could experience working from home. And working from home taught me a lot. It taught me one thing, how toxic my environment was, really how toxic it was. And I really didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go back into that space to experience it. And it was also the first time that I could really dream again about being an entrepreneur. I had done some things. I was that girl. I sold Mary Kay. I sold the candles on the street. I had done all of those things, and I even had my own wellness brand where I made products, and that's a whole nother chapter of how I ended up in that space. But I stopped dreaming about being an entrepreneur, and once I could go home during COVID, I started to dream again about it. And so I was able to find a position with the Department of Justice doing federal grants where I could still work from home and pursue entrepreneurship at the same time. And so I said to myself, I'm 50. I was right at 50, 52 or so, but it was over 50. And I said to myself, I got 5 years before I retire. I'm gonna give this one more shot, and I'm gonna see what I can really do before I actually retire from the federal government. And so I just tried to jump all in and give it a good shot. So the thing that I started out in wellness because I had that experience in the salon where I had chemical burns and I thought I wasn't gonna grow my hair back. It was a whole thing. And so I was inquisitive. I tried to be the scientist. I figured out how to make my own product. So this was when natural hair was like at its peak. It was 2011. I really had never been natural, so I didn't want to go yet. I wanted to ease in it, but I slid in it. Full force because I had chemical burns like all over my head. So I thought I couldn't grow my hair back. So I went, looked it up, researched it, and I figured out how to make products. And I made those products, and it worked so well on my hair that people wanted to purchase them. And so I was able to take like a little VA class from the Veterans Administration. I took like a class and figured out like how to start it. And I launched these products and they were beautiful, and I had these beautiful branding on them and everything. And I was like all in and going full force and not knowing what I was doing and and on and on. And I made some money in them, but I really didn't, I didn't know what I was doing. I just didn't know what I was doing. So I wasted a lot of money in trying to be ahead of the game and trying to sell in such a way, trying to grow a big brand, big, fast, and it just really didn't work out for me. And so that is why I put it on the shelf and said, okay, this is not for me. And I didn't pick it up again until after COVID to try again because I got discouraged. I lost a lot of money. And I just honestly didn't have the skills to do what I needed to do. And so I see that a lot where people they think they can just do it themselves. And you just don't know any better. You don't know what you don't know. And so you just give it all a try. And so after COVID, I started doing some things with life coaching. And then I ran across Rachel Rodgers, and I was like, who is this beautiful person? And so I took Rachel Rodgers. It was a year-long Hello 7 coaching certification course. And it really felt like I was getting a PhD because I was trying to work full time and do her course, which was very challenging. It was not easy to get certified in Hello 7, but it was so rewarding. And it was a light bulb moment for me because I was like, oh, this is how it really supposed to work. And I loved her program because it was so structured. And I came from a very structured background. So it resonated with me to be able to really see how you go from one growth section to the next, how you really grow within a business. And so after I was done, I said, okay, I've always been a coach, a guidance counselor, a mentor. Now I really want to work with federal women who really want to transition into their second half the same way I want to, the best way. I really want to coach those women. I really want them to understand that they can have what they want in the lifestyle that they want when they decide to either leave federal government for whatever reason or retire from federal government. And I will be honest, I came up in that generation where a good government job is what you wanted. There weren't any computers. Technology wasn't quite there yet. I remember .com, I remember all of that. And so probably a lot of the women around my age, we are kind of the lost generation of entrepreneurship, but we're looking for something. We are not the ones who want to be the grandmother standing It's nothing wrong with it, standing at the stove, cooking dinner, taking care of everyone, and not dreaming anymore. We're just not that. And so it's sort of pushing, back in to do some of that. And I just want to coach those women to say, your second half can be your best half. That's exactly what I'm doing right now, is I'm coaching federal women who really want to just lean into their second half. I feel like I've thought a lot about my assignment because I have been one of those persons who've been obsessed at times with what is my purpose? Why can't I relax and stay still and not, always want to pursue and learn and do the next thing. And I think everyone's assignment is very spiritual. It's a spiritual thing. And I think an assignment is linked to just what keep pulling you. What is it that just keep pulling you to keep doing it? And the way I see my assignment, it has been a journey. It's been a journey, and I feel like God hasn't wasted anything along in this journey. Like the good I've been through, the bad I've been through, the not so, the confusing part as well. I think when I sum up my assignment on this earth, it really is teaching people that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how many times you fall down. It doesn't matter how many mistakes that you make. You can get up and you can create the life that you really want. You just have to push through all the things that come to you, which is just really living, that you can create something out of nothing. And I also want to be that person that my family can look at and say, hey, if she can do that, I can do it too. I want to be my family's first millionaire. I think growing up in poverty really taught me that, yes, you can have love and all the things that you need in your family, But there's something to be said about being able to write your own opportunities and write your own story. And the more I got exposed to the world, the more I understood that money helps you write that story how you want to write that story. And that no one should be beholden to someone else to really live their life. And I just think it's just something that is available to everyone. I'm so excited that the gatekeepers are gone. Like, I feel like my childhood, growing up probably through my 30s or so, there were always gatekeepers. So once everything sort of switched to online and you can do a lot, online and be a millionaire online and that type of deal, I just think, I don't understand why everyone want to do it. Arlan's Inner Circle has really been very instrumental to me and very helpful to me to get the clarity that I needed to work with my clients. My first meeting with Arlan, my one-on-one with Arlan, I was nervous going in. And when I left that meeting, it was so much clarity. I probably had 3 pages of notes of how I should proceed next, and I was gonna do all of them. And so I couldn't write fast enough, so I asked her, hey, can I please have a copy of this video? And she said, I don't normally do that, but since you asked, I'll give you a copy of that video. And I really went through that video, and I really went through everything that she guided me to do. And I said, this is how I'm going to work with my clients. And I put it in action. And then I was able to go back and say, this is working, but I need a little bit more help on something here. And it was such an amazing journey with all the feedback that I got from the community. They gave me lots of feedback. Someone even sent me a video of how they went through my masterclass. It was, and it was just such amazing feedback that they gave me. They're like, I looked at your masterclass and this is what you should do. And I thought, wow, what kind of community is this to just give you all of this freely pouring out? And so I took all of that. I took the information from the masterclass. I took the information that I was able to work with Arlan on. I took the information that I was able to work with Colin on, who's a beautiful person. And I just put all that information, I put all of that into action with my clients. And I was able to move to the next level with my client. I was working with one client, and I decided to offer her the retainer, which was one of the things that Arlan, suggested. And I was really surprised. She was like, yes, of course, I want to do that. And it was like an instant $3,000 that I was able to get from that client, just working from that. So when I think about All Access and Inner Circle, I think this is just a community that really wants you to win, really wants to see you thrive, really is just a very calming place for me. I need calm. I like calm. And it's such a calming and embracing community. And I just don't know where else you could get that from. And plus, to get into Arlan's Inner Circle at the price I got in, oh my God, it was just an amazing deal as well. And I say that all the time, like, is this real? And it really was. And so I never plan to leave. If you have the opportunity to work inside of All Access or Inner Circle, I say it is definitely a place that you should go. It's very practical, it's very calm, it's very helpful, and it's a very, very great community to be a part of. So I would say, yes, go for it.